Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This should be our final build video for the 1701 Sovereign class. All right, so we have it completely built, assembled, and we have done a base color of paint across the entire model. We've also done a few of the accents, like the black around the impulse engines, and the black and silver are on the front of the nacelles. Coming up next, we have to mask off all the phaser strips and all of these little thrusters to give them their color. We'll be airbrushing a gunmetal color for the phasers and a yellow-green for the thrusters. So I laid down the phaser strips and I laid down the thrusters. This is something I've been thinking about doing, is for the windows I didn't cut out to be lit, I've been thinking about how to do those. And I've decided to use my enamel stain again and just drop a drop of enamel stain on those windows. Now hopefully, if they're deep enough, I'll be able to wipe off the excess once it dries with a little bit of thinner, leaving it just inside. And hopefully that will be kind of a good way to do those windows. It should still be black and dark. All right, so right now it looks pretty darn messy. You're all wondering why I would do such a thing to the model. But it's just a stage you go through when you kind of play with some of these stains and these washes. So remember, we painted with acrylic, then our stain was oil-based, which means we can use some enamel thinner to take off the stain and not the base coat. So we're going to use just a little bit of thinner on a Q-tip. And just clean it off the outside. There we go. Pay attention to your Q-tip. Once it has enough on it, switch out to a new one. Make sure your Q-tip isn't too wet with the thinner. All right, that's what we're going to do. That leaves the stain nicely just inside those windows that we wanted to darken. And cleans off the outside very easily. All right. And now on these that I was a little careless when I was applying, they'll take kind of a couple steps to kind of clean up. Just be gentle. That's a really quick, easy way to paint all those windows black. I'm going to keep going off camera, cleaning up these windows, and we'll be back in a bit. All right, and it's time to do the same thing on the engineering hull, just because it is so fun. Now, I was a little worried down here that these windows might be too shallow, and as I tried to clean the excess off the sides, it might strip it out of the windows. So I'm very pleasantly surprised that this is working so well. It's a really quick and easy way to do windows if they are kind of deep enough and well defined enough for the stain to sink in and for you to clean off the top. All right, so we're really getting someplace now. We've managed to paint the windows if they're not going to be lit. We've painted the phasers, we've painted the thrusters, and right now, if we were to just decal the ship up with the kit decals, we'd still be in a pretty good place. We'd have a good looking ship. But I do have an add-on product here we're going to take a look at to do the Aztec pattern for this ship. So these are the kit decals for the ship. They come with several of the dark gray panels. They come with the name and the registry. They come with Starfleet pennants and lots of lifeboats. So those are the kit decals, and like I say, we could just kind of put those on the model and call it done, and we'd have a good looking ship. But I managed to get some A Creation brand Aztec decals for the ship. Now these are no longer being made, so they're kind of nice to get to if you can get a hold of them. So first thing we see, there's a lot here I'm not going to use. I'm not going to use this for the deflector. I'm not going to use that for the impulse grills. I don't know why you'd ever use those for the clear parts. But plenty of lifeboats here. Let's compare them to the kit decal. So the kit decals look a little bit more detailed, and yeah, I'm up in the air on which color I like more. If the kit decals hold up well, I'd probably use those. Let's look at what else we get here. So we get sheets to do the entire Aztec panel for the Enterprise E. Now, A Creation had a few bad batches at the end of their run where things would tint a little purple. I think these look pretty good. I think they look pretty gray. These ones, those might be a little pinkish, but I think I can live with this. I think I can work with those. I'm not going to need these parts. I've already painted that on the model, but I'm going to use all of these little panel ones for the nacelles. Here's kind of the underbelly of the ship, the top spine, the pylon decals. And of course, this is really why you get those Aztec decals, to get this level of detail on that saucer. All the little panel lines. Yeah, I think I'm fine with that color. I do think it is slightly off gray, but the big ones are a very nice monochrome gray. So kit decals versus the A Creation. So I'll probably end up going with the A Creation ones here because these have cutouts for the windows, and I don't know how well they'll line up. These don't. So if these don't line up well with the windows on the kit, I'll go with these. But also, it really does look like the A Creation have more detail. Kind of looking at these pieces right here. A Creation, a lot more depth on those. And looking at this versus this, definitely a lot more detail on that one. So I'll probably go with A Creation on most of these, and then just go with the kit supply decals for things like the pendants and the registry. I'm actually having quite a bit of fun with these wallpaper decals. They look really good. Right now they're still very glossy because several of them are still wet. I'm very glad that I did decide to paint the windows black. I think it looks really good under those decals. But I want to be able to show you guys just a little bit of how these decals go on. The first thing I've really noticed is they come off the paper almost immediately. I'm just soaking one off camera here for about 5 seconds. And we're going to lay that just on our paper towel. And we're going to soak our next part for about 5 seconds. And that's really all the water that they need to go on. They come off the paper almost immediately. So now that we have the decals wet, we're just going to add a little bit of water to the model. Now this one I broke down into a couple different pieces to go over these level changes. But we'll get them all 3 of these on and then make sure they're lined up well. Yeah, biggest difference between these homemade decals or garage kit decals versus the manufacturers are that you have to be a lot more careful cutting them out. You'll have to cut right up to the decal. They won't separate at all on their own. We've got a real long one right here, so we're just going to make sure that's fairly wet. Grab our long decal. Make sure it's really wet so it comes off easily. And we're going to line that up at the very end. Whew. All right, we're going to use a Q-tip. Just make sure we smooth that one down. Make sure it's lining up in the right place. And that's what we're going to be doing the next day or so. Lots of decal cutting, lots of applying decals, and a little bit of microsalt to really get to sink down. Then eventually another gloss coat. Then we'll move on to the marking decals. Well, what a difference a week makes. Because I tell you, back when I was still drilling out all sorts of windows in this ship and trying to solder those connections and trying to figure out where I was going, I wasn't having much fun. But I tell you, the past 2 days, I have had a lot of fun. The A Creation decals have been fantastic, and so what's coming up next are going to be those wonderful lifeboats that are a real signature piece on the 1701E. I think at this point I'm going to move to the kit decals. I won't need any of these since I did A Creation for those. All they need the registries. All right, so I'm going to put the lifeboats on. I'm going to put the registry markings on. Then we'll be done. Well, got all the decals done, put a dull coat over the ship, and man, this kit has a lot of decals. So even forgetting all of these panels that were done by the Aztec decals, the kit itself has all of these lifeboats. It has these big panels here. It even has these really tiny ones right here for all the warnings around the phaser strips. It has our registry and our pendants. This big one along the side. So even if you don't do the Aztecs, you'll have a lot of decals to put on. All right, but let's get a look at our ship completely finished. Here she is. The USS Enterprise NCC 1701E as first seen in First Contact. So let's try and get some shots of the great decal, both in the kit and the two sets of decals on this ship. And I'll say again, there was a time in this kit I wasn't having that much fun somewhere in drilling out all the windows. But then somewhere along getting to finally start painting it and decaling it, definitely the fun came back. It was really fun to just kind of see everything start coming together. Putting a few washes on some of this to really bring out the detail, seeing the great decal in that shuttle bay, and then just seeing all of these wonderful gray Aztec panels bring the ship to life really brought that fun experience back. And that really is the way modeling is sometimes. You know, there's parts of the process that can really just drive you batty. And then there's parts where just all the fun comes back. I'm thrilled, obviously, with how this turned out. I think it just looks absolutely great. It's a terrifically fun build once you kind of get further along in it. And it's a great looking ship. Now, of course, a big part of the ship is lights. So let's see it lit up. All right, there we are. There we go. There is our spotlight lighting up the registry. There are our lit windows. There are our darkened windows, since of course not all the lights are on the ship at the same time. There's our fiery warp nacelles and the even blue for the girls behind it. Here she is, kind of lit up from the back. Once again, lit windows, unlit windows, wonderful impulse engines. I really like all the lights leading up to the bridge that we drilled out. That's a really great shot of that impulse engine and how we kind of gave it some distinction with that black paint. There's a great shot of that Starfleet flag and our deflector dish. And one thing that I really can't say enough is when it comes to model building, just try some things. If you've never lit a model, get one. Get a cheap one that you've bought off eBay that somebody's already started on or something. But really just try and stick some lights in it. You've seen that it really doesn't take much. One little circle of LED strips inside that saucer is providing us with all of that light. It's providing us with the spotlight. It's providing us with the windows. It's providing us with those impulse engine grills. It doesn't take much. Try and light a model. I really think, especially with a model like this, it really brings things to life. Once you get good at it, even if you just make real simple things like I do with no blinking, no nav lights, no strobes, it makes a fantastic difference. And as we kind of wrap up the video here and wrap up the build, I want to thank everybody for letting me do this build for you, for letting me kind of keep this channel going. It's been kind of a wonderful diversion to kind of keep building this model kit. I appreciate everybody with their comments, with their thoughts. I thank everybody for watching these videos. We'll be back soon. We've got some other ideas of what we can do on the channel over the next couple weeks. So thank you guys very, very much for watching, and we'll be back soon.